Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits. I hope we find something to fit you this morning. Well, when I came down to my computer this morning after morning meditation, a Facebook memory was waiting for me, and it showed a picture of Thomas Merton that I had posted some 6 years ago or so forth, and it sparked a fit because I first encountered Thomas Merton when I was in the Navy, a sonarman on a submarine, a diesel-electric submarine, in the late 50s. I was on one submarine for 3 years, stationed in Norfolk, the USS Cabrera. And I was a sonarman, and I had joined the Navy to find out what I wanted to do with my life, and I discovered that I wanted to get out of the Navy. However, being on the submarines seems to have been, when you look back on your life, you can see a turning point, or you can see a metaphorical meaning to the events that happened, that you chose and got into, like a story, like it was the title of a book or a turning. So I titled this talk, Dive, Run Silent, Run Deep. And that was the name of a book I remember reading. I think I first got interested in submarines because my father was in the Navy, and he was on a surface ship, and he spent most of his my life growing up at sea during World War II. And he gave me a book about the accounts of the submarines in the Pacific, the stories of them written by the logs, And so a lot of them became movies. And Run Silent, Run Deep was a movie about a World War II submarine. And so I was attracted to them. And so when I left home and hitchhiked across the country and joined the Navy, I wanted to be in the submarines. And what rank, or what did I want to do? I wanted to be a sonarman. I wanted to listen, and I wanted to dive beneath the surface. And so while I was at sea, I was reading Thomas Merton. Now, Thomas Merton really attracted me because he was a young intellectual academic. He would have been a philosopher or a professor, literature, very erudite. And he left it all, a promising career, and became a silent monk in a Trappist monastery in Kentucky, Yosemite. And Trappist monastery was very strict order. You didn't talk. You didn't speak. And you let the abbot of the monastery was your guru. He told you what to do. You had surrendered your foreign policy to the abbot of the monastery, just like when you join the Navy, you surrender your foreign policy to the Navy. I mean, you have freedom within a limited sphere. But the Navy tells you, or the Army tells you where to go, when to come back, whatever. So it was kind of like that. There was a surrender, a voluntary surrender of his will to the church and immediately the abbot of that monastery. That interested me. So the book I read was The 7-Story Mountain, which was his autobiography. Now, because he was a literary, and he was able to write about his Catholic journey, the abbot gave him permission to write. It was only through that he was able to write and publish books. And so the 7-Story Mountain was his autobiography of his dive, run silent, run deep. Why he dove. You see, when a submarine dives, a submarine's in a fleet. And when it dives, the fleet, the surface people say, where did he go? He was just here. I don't know where he went, you see. To the surface ship, under the surface is death. The surface ship doesn't want to go there. If the surface ship goes beneath the surface, it isn't coming back up. That's death. But the submarine goes down, comes up, pop. There you are. Where have you been? Oh, I can't tell you. The surface ship cannot compute what it's like under the surface, you see. Now, I am speaking metaphorically here, so I hope you don't take me literally. But the surface fleet is kind of like the world. And the submarine is kind of like the mystic, the meditator, the one who's curious about the unconscious, the one who is curious about what isn't seen, the one who's curious about what's between the lines, what's beneath the logic, what's behind the operating system of consciousness. How does this thing work, you see? What's it like to just listen instead of being active? You see, so metaphorically, my submarine experience kind of like was the turning point of my life, because that really began my quest for knowledge, or primarily for unity. And unity means the end of my suffering. My quest was for understanding my suffering, my neurosis, and its cessation. Not how to manage it, not how to endure it. Oh, this too will pass. Not how to suffer in silence, not how to deny it or repress it, but the cessation of it. And that is Buddhism. Suffering and the cessation of suffering. That is Buddhism. So, in a way, my journey, my for some strange reason, my wanting to leave home, an academic career, I went to the University of Virginia, and after I was going to be a doctor, and after a semester I realized in my heart I didn't want to be a doctor, so I didn't know what I wanted. So I became a drunk. Then I dropped out, hitchhiked across country, joined the Navy. Kind of like going to the Foreign Legion, to find out who I am. So we all have that journey. We all have to leave our hometown. We all have to leave our parents to find out who we are, you see. But are you going to do it on a surface ship in a fleet and just go where the fleet goes? Or are you going to be a submarine and dive beneath the surface to explore in the silence the currents that govern your life? To stick up a periscope and look at the surface fleet from the silence beneath the sea. And then surface and be like a surface ship and run around with the fleet just like everybody else. So the fleet sees the submarine as just another ship. It really doesn't know what goes on beneath the surface that the submarine knows. For it's at home there. The submarine is at home beneath the sea, even more at home than it is on the surface. But it's both, so it's ambiguous. It's both beneath the surface and above the surface. And you cannot separate them. You cannot separate the undersea from the over the sea, from the submarine, you see. It's one, but it's two. Surface ship is going to be just one. It isn't going to be the other. Submarines are ambiguous and therefore kind of mysterious. Thanks for dropping in. Hope this was a good Zen fit for you. Find your metaphor. Find the turning point in your life. Find the title to the chapter of your quest for the end of suffering. Thanks for dropping in.